Hey, Black people, let's build some generational wealth. Did you know that the average Black family has wealth of only about $44,000? And we got to change that. You are enrolled in Wealth 101, and it's the spring semester of Hillman Tech University. So come on in and get this knowledge, people. Now, if you get a message, somebody pretending to be me, asking you to invest or give them money, it's a fake account, report and block them. I'm never going to ask you for money. Today, I'm going to give you step one in my real estate series, because I want to prepare you to purchase your first primary residence. And for those of you who already own a residence, that's great. Congratulations. I hope you like and comment and share this content, because there's a lot of people around who still need this information. Okay? I got a cold today, so bear with me. All right? Did you know that in 2025, the average first-time home buyer in the United States was 40 years old? 40 years old. Let that sink in. I bought my first house when I was 28. My kids got their first property together and they were only 20 and 23. So to hear that the average first-time home buyer is now 40, that's concerning. That means people are wasting a lot of money in rent, okay? And you see, a large reason why we as Black families don't have generational wealth is we're always starting from scratch. We always doing something because we don't pass anything down. Your first property should be your foundation. I believe this. It is a cornerstone for building wealth. This is where you live. This is where you build equity. This is your starting point, okay? Now, how do we do this? How do we buy this first property? Here's a step-by-step of what you need to do. Number one, you got to know your numbers. Don't play with me. You got to know your numbers. What's your credit score? What's your credit score? I know my credit score right now. What's your credit score? Go on them free sites, check and see what your credit score is. You ain't got to pay for it. There are free sites like Credit Karma and things like that you don't have to pay for. And you can go and see what your credit score is, okay? Next, I need you to review what your actual debt is. Now, I gave you a class earlier, I think it was last month, and I gave you some homework to figure out what your debt is, figure out your net worth. Go back to that video and figure out what your net worth is, what your assets are, what your debt is, okay? You're going to need it for your personal net worth anyway. Understand what your monthly income is and know how much money comes into your house after taxes, okay? Because that tells you how much money you can actually afford. Because you got to buy the house, you still got utilities. All right. You know, you can at least afford the rent because you're paying that now. And if you don't have any extra money at the end of the month, then that means your rent is the maximum amount that you're able to pay for this mortgage. And that mortgage has to include real estate taxes and insurance. So you got to know what your numbers are. OK, you have got to have a credit score of at least 620, but 700, that's going to give you better options. And the higher your score, the better your interest rate. It's just that's how it works. OK. That means with the lower interest rate, you're going to pay less in interest every month. That means your mortgage won't be as high every month, okay? The next thing I need you to do is save for your closing costs. You don't need 20% down. There are programs that allow 3%, 3.5% through FHA loans. And a trick that I used when I was purchasing my first home is I asked for money back at closing to pay for the repairs. So let's say you have to put $20,000 down on this purchase. You could ask for $10,000 back to pay for repairs at closing. That means you're actually only putting $10,000 down. Now you got $10,000 to buy some furniture, some supplies for your house. Now you're still going to need a down payment. You're still going to need closing costs. And then you need to start saving for emergency purchases after you close, okay? Don't use your last dollar to buy a house. You don't want to be house rich and cash poor. The third thing, I need you to get pre-approved, okay? Talk to a lender before you start looking. That's going to tell you what you can afford. That's going to tell you what your monthly payment is going to look like with all of those things rolled in. And you need to know what that is. This is how you shop with confidence. You want to know what your real budget is? If a lender tells you, oh, you have $400,000, don't you go buy no $400,000 house. Find you a house that's like $300,000 because that gives you room to wiggle. That gives you room to save and invest. If you live in a high housing area, you may have to find some additional assistance in order to be able to buy that house, okay? So buy what you can sustain, not what impresses people. This is critical. We ain't competing with other people. We are working to build our own generational wealth, and that takes discipline. And you know what your non-tax deductible expenses are? You got to figure that out before closing, okay? Don't be going to buy no condo or townhouse that has high homeowners assessments that you can't afford. Those aren't tax deductible anyway. You have to be smart and you have to respect your money. Your home should not stretch you so thin that you cannot invest. And I believe in investing every single month. That is a guiding principle, okay? So my guiding principle is spend like the middle class, but invest like the wealthy. That means every month. Now that's step one. We got to go get that primary residence first. And our next class is going to focus on turning that house into a wealth building tool. So give me a couple of days to get over this cold and get better so that I don't sound like a 30-year smoker. But in the meantime, let's do the work. Let's get this primary residence. Let's get it on our radar. Let's at least do the homework so we're ready. And it may be 3 months or 6 months, but let's make a plan to do it before the end of this year. Okay? That is your Wealth 101 class. I am Professor E, your wealth guru, and I will see you in the next class.